Morning, everybody. I'm Ginny Schuster with Ginnypreneur, and we are on the Zoom In with Ginnypreneur series. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. Today, we're being joined by Jim Jordan, and he has a business consulting and coaching. And what we're going to get from him today is how small businesses can help to expand their business and wants to share tips so that we can get this country back to having more small business owners. My feeling is that back in the 70s, there used to be 80% entrepreneurs. Now it's less than 50%. And the foundation of our country is on small businesses. So I'm a huge small business advocate. So welcome. Thank you, Jim, for joining us. Looking forward to your sharing tips today.
Good morning, Jenny.
Hi, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing just fine, thank you.
So let's dive into it. What are some of the challenges that small businesses have?
Well, if you go back to how most small business gets started, first of all, they have a passion for what they're doing,
Yes.
and ultimately, they have a skill set that people are looking for, and they get involved in a business, and they start doing everything themselves. Ultimately, what happens is that they get so involved with the day-to-day part of owning a business that they often have time, they often forget to work on their business rather than in their business.
That's so true.
And ultimately, what I think is important is putting together, because for every challenge out there, there is a solution. There's a thing. I mean, my tagline for North Associates is that I provide solutions that will drive your bottom line success. Most business owners don't really have a business plan. And a business plan is not that complicated. It could be maybe 3 to 5 goals that are measurable that we can basically take a look at on a monthly basis and come up with some solutions or take advantage of some of the solutions that are out there to basically make sure that you're basically making money anyway for your bottom line. I mean, ultimately, one of the challenges that I find is that many small business owners, really their entire retirement is based on the success of their business.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
And it's one of my traits, and one of my focuses is to make sure that we increase the value of your business on an ongoing basis in terms of being able to provide financial controls on the business. We hope that you're pricing for value and not necessarily just commodity pricing. That a lot of business owners that I run into, they have passion for what they're doing, but they lack some of the leadership skills that are needed in order for them to direct employees, to make sure that the customer is being served in some way. And a lot of times, from a communication standpoint, they assume that their employee team knows what they want and what the customer wants. Unfortunately, that is not the case. The other big challenge is just simply a lack of capital. As businesses become more successful, they either don't know how, or quite frankly are intimidated by dealing with banks and trying to come up with capital in a way to either expand their equipment or expand their business in some way. And unfortunately, I think that is really one of the biggest challenges, because I know from experience that 40% of small businesses are profitable.
Okay.
30% break even, which means that 30% are losing money on a constant basis.
Yeah.
The statistics from the Small Business Administration show that 50% will fail within the first year.
That I knew. Yeah.
And 95% won't make it to year 5. So ultimately,
Ouch.
if I can provide them with basically a roadmap, and again, something that is simply just some goals that we're going to measure, and take a look at basically some of the challenges from the standpoint of getting people. I mean, that's one of the things that I concentrate on is finding the right staff to help you grow your business, and that's becoming increasingly difficult for small business owners. I mean, with full employment right now, and a lot of people leaving the workforce, unfortunately, the lack of qualified labor is really a big challenge anyway for any small business owner out there.
I keep hearing the same thing, that's the major concern. But Jim, here's something that I want to ask you about, because with the statistics you mentioned, and the small businesses having trouble with the money side, how is it that you get them to justify that they can use your service? Because I totally understand that your service is very valuable, but when people are struggling, they're juggling, okay, do I go this route, or do I throw my trust completely in Jim to help me move on to the steps and grow the way I really want to?
Jenny, that is a great question, and I get that a lot
Yeah.
from clients that I sit down with, and I tell them, and usually I approach the whole consulting relationship like this: what does success look like in 5 years? You're going to enter into an agreement. I'm going to give you basically a proposal in writing. I'm going to essentially not have a contract with you. If you decide that I'm not worth it and I'm not basically improving your bottom line, then you should cut me off. You basically don't need my services because I can't help you. And oftentimes what I do is, as part of the initial consultation, which is totally free, I want to understand what you feel the challenges are, because most business owners have forgotten more about their business than I will ever know. So I want to understand anyway what success looks like from your perspective, and I'm willing to basically put together a written proposal with a timeline and basically investment involved. And like I say, if you feel that we're not getting anywhere, I will simply back off and ultimately allow you to basically seek another solution. I believe that through my experience, I've dealt with so many different types of businesses, and really from the ma and pa businesses to multi-million-dollar businesses out there. And I want to make sure that, again, that we stay focused on solutions. And I want to make sure that, quite frankly, that you're getting value for my time and I'm not wasting yours in any way.
That's great. One thing that I didn't realize for a long time, and our daughter worked for Deloitte and Touche. And she was in mergers and acquisitions. And I had no idea that these big companies, before they even do the merger, they look at the exit plan first. And when you're a mom and pop shop, that is the last thing on your mind. Just as you say, you're dealing with your passion. Maybe it's your hobby. And all of a sudden you see your hobby improving and starting to make you money. And just as you say, you never sat down with a major strategy on how to grow your business. You're just enjoying life.
Yes. And usually I think that my services are more valuable. If somebody, let's say, wants to sell their business, the more time that you can give me to sit down with you and to plan it out. I mean, for example, I say, if I can have 5 years, so 5 years before you want to retire, if you basically engage me, we have a longer runway to be able to basically improve the value of the business.
Mhm.
And on a monthly business, on a monthly basis anyway, I'll take a look at your financials. I'll take a look at where we can basically bring some more money to the bottom line, because that's ultimately what you're selling, is that you've got a valuable business. You hopefully have built a brand. You may have used, the services of a marketing company like Daniel's company that he has, in order to build a local brand that when people think of your service or your product, ultimately you are the first choice anyway that they will go to.
Top of
And-
mind.
And yeah, and a very interesting fact anyway, this past year, and I think that this is kind of the post-COVID effect that I've seen. Small businesses did better this past December than they've done anyway in over 2 years.
Oh, really?
People have used local businesses because, one of the things that I'm constantly looking for is that if I can find a business owner that has passion, that is focused on the customer, focused on their employees, and focused on the community, I know that I'm dealing with somebody that I can not only help, but we can help them thrive anyway in terms of what they're doing. And that's what I saw this past December. I saw a lot of local businesses giving back to the community, helping out on fundraising. And, what I usually indicate is I'm not basically in doing this for Wall Street. I'm doing it for Main Street.
Love it. Mm-hmm. Well, one thing I've noticed is that the Chamber of Commerce in most cities are very valuable for getting your name out there, great for volunteering your services, and you can get to know top people around the whole city when you get involved with that. Now, is that something that you can deal through long distance since you're in Michigan? And with Zooms now, we're pretty much countrywide, maybe even globally, where you can help people. So do you walk them down if they are in another city? I'm imagining that you want to expand your services to all throughout the country. Is that how you work with them and you still find it efficient?
Very much so anyway. The thing is that over the course of the past 2 years, I've done probably 80% of my business via Zoom.
Oh my goodness.
Um,
And I think a lot of people are finding that.
Yeah, and ultimately, I've had, I've dealt with businesses in Montreal. I've done business with basically a small business owner in the Philippines.
Wow.
And ultimately, again, the solutions, regardless of the language anyway, is usually the same. And, what you find is that there is a lot of similarities to businesses and the challenges that small business owners have.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with that. And I've come up with a list of at least 10 must knows that people have to think about, myself, having been in business before. And I'm sure you have at least 10 when you're setting up your strategies, or maybe even more. You've already mentioned financial, communication, leadership.
Absolutely. Anyway, and what you also take a look at is the proper pricing, that you're essentially anyway charging enough anyway in order to create a gross margin that is going to be able to cover your expenses and employ people. I mean, the one beautiful thing about small business is that small business owners actually, even though there's not as many as there used to be, they still provide almost 50% of the basic payroll income to their employee teams. And that is something that has always amazed me, that in terms of their effect on employment, it is almost as big as basically the Fortune 500.
Wow. And I'm not sure people have the time who are in small business have the time to think about that.
Well, they don't. And the one thing that, if I had advice for, for basically the society in general, I would bring back trade schools almost immediately. I don't think that you necessarily need a college degree to basically be successful. I think that the trade schools, I know that one of the things that I'm finding is that a lot of the small business owners that I deal with, their biggest challenge is qualified help, is getting people that can bring value to the table and ultimately can learn quickly enough. And if they could simply anyway, hire somebody out of a trade school that at least has the kind of the rudimentary skill set that you need in order to be successful, I think that we would all be better off for that.
That's a great point. In our city, Longmont, Colorado, I noticed that we've got Front Range Community College, and I took a tour of that place. And they do have things such as electrical engineering and more toward the trade school. But you're right, even here, there was a gap between when they had the technical trade schools to where we are now with the Front Range Community College.
Correct.
Encouraging that. Now,
and we have, basically a local community college. They basically are teaching, they have a culinary arts program that is probably, they are supplying chefs all over the world now because it's basically that renowned. And it's amazing how, how many restaurants are in need of basically people with skills that can help them anyway keep the business open.
How fascinating. Another area that I want to ask you about is, what about construction workers? I would say a lot of them get out of high school. I'm not sure whether all of them have gone to college, but they're very handy. And I'm not sure that they understand business also. Do you deal with any construction workers?
I've got 3 clients right now that are basically tradesmen. They do kitchen remodeling. I had a builder a couple of years ago that I dealt with and put together a business plan for them. And like I say, if they're good at what they do and they have the skill set, then we can certainly help them anyway become more successful in some way.
Is there any way that we can touch other lives to get more workers? I guess we're looking at the younger generation, correct? And wanting to encourage them. Is there a way to affect them so that they can see the bigger picture? They seem to be more instant mindset as opposed to longer term.
Yeah, Ginny, that's an excellent point. One of the services I do provide is basically employee screening. We'll go through and try to basically find qualified people and things. And what I'm realizing, and I've got 2 grown sons anyway that I accuse of this all the time, is that their work ethic is not the same as my work ethic was.
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing, in fact, I just interviewed a young lady a couple of weeks ago, and I asked her, I said, well, tell me a little bit about why you want this job. And her first question was, how much time off do I get?
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah.
And I'm saying, well, God, that is, and I told her, I said, I urge you never ever to bring something like that up.
Right.
What you need to do is you need to essentially anyway be able to bring value to a business and to a business owner. And she was skilled, she had it, but my advice to the gentleman that was my client, as I said, you're taking a risk. because I don't think she has the commitment to do the thing, to do the business the way that you want the business to be done.
Is there a way of training them when they're on site, or is it a mentality that since they've had it for all their growing up time that they can't necessarily be trained? I mean, when I look at life, we're always learning something new. Sometimes it takes us longer to grasp, oh my goodness, it's my fault. I need to change my attitude and my headset.
Well, and usually good business leaders, good small business leaders teach first, and then they allow their employee to learn anyway on the job. And if they can teach somebody and not just assume that the person knows how to do something, it really goes a long way to take some of the burden off you as a business owner. Because the one thing that I always tell business owners, I don't want you doing the job. I want you to basically direct and lead people on how you want the job to be done.
Wow. That is huge leadership skills that are definitely not taught in school. I do know that there are some colleges such as CU Boulder that has, it's called LEEDS. I'm not sure what it stands for, but I think it's the next level up to get people to think about business. Maybe it's like Wharton School of Business. I'm not sure, but leadership skills take time to learn. Yes, there's so much involved in that. So how, if someone doesn't have that background, how do they find you? Because, you only have a limited amount of time in a day.
Correct.
And to get your name to other people, that's a huge step.
It is a huge step, Ginny. And the one thing that I have found to be very effective is that I belong to a business networking international chapter here in Michigan.
Okay.
And I've got 30, we have a membership of 30, and I have 30 salespeople out there that are helping me because it's a very specific format, unlike the chamber, which I also belong to. It's a structure that has worked and has worked very well for decades anyway, in terms of how successful it is. And you give specific referrals. You kind of educate through really what we refer to as one-to-ones, when we sit down and we kind of explore for about an hour, what would be a good referral for you. And for me anyway, I can be very specific anyway. If you're under 30 employees and are doing just about $200,000 worth of business, I know I can help you. And
interesting. I do know I printed out your BNI sheet and I saw how specific you were there. Is that how you started and then you found this other group?
I started out in the chamber.
Okay.
And that worked out well, but it was a little bit less structured anyway. In terms, it was more social, and you talked and met people and that type of thing. And and while that was valuable, because I did pick up clients from that, when I was asked to come as a visitor to BNI, and anybody that quite frankly is basically in business can visit any BNI chapter. I mean, all they have to do is just get in touch with the officer and just say, hey, listen, I'd like to come visit, see what it's all about. No charge, no pressure. And that's exactly what I did. And I found it to be, like I say, one of the best business building groups that I have ever been involved with.
That's BNI is.
Yes.
And then you took it to the next step of this other one, the business national, what is
brokers,
it?
Yeah, the Michigan Business Brokers Association.
Okay.
Yeah, I joined that only because I'm doing, I've been asked to do more valuations on businesses.
Okay.
And they are a tremendous resource. As part of being part of the Michigan group, by default, I'm also a member of the international group. And the International Business Brokers Association, they have valuation tools and continuing education that I can participate in through podcasts and things like that on a real-time basis, which I thoroughly enjoy. I think it's really probably one of the best decisions I made was to get involved with this group and ultimately be able to use those valuation tools to really provide accurate information as to how a business should be valued.
Oh my goodness. Jim, this is such great information for people in small business and challenges, get them thinking beyond their business. So how can people get in touch with you, and what are some final words that you would say that how you could help them, or final words of challenge that you see going forward? I know I've just thrown it all out to you.
Oh, that's
what I do.
That is fine anyway. I'm, you know, I have a website, www.fornorthassociates.com, that I'm very proud of. I just basically redid it with Daniel.
Cool.
And that has worked out very well. Also, I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me through LinkedIn. And my phone number is 248-212-4978. And I can be reached that way or through Hotmail. I'm jimjordan@hotmail.com.
Oh, that's cool. Wonderful. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap this up?
Well, you know, I think in closing, the thing that that I want to basically stress for all small business owners is that there are solutions out there that ultimately can help you be more successful. And it's important for you to constantly look for those, and not just through engagement with consultants or anybody else, but keep your eyes open and keep your focus on the customer. I mean, if the customer will tell you exactly what they're thinking, and ultimately, if you can, again, focus what you do on pleasing that customer, and taking little steps anyway. I mean, for example, anyway, I got a bid from we want to remodel a bathroom anyway, an upstairs master bathroom anyway. I had a gentleman from my B&I group come to my house. He basically took measurements and did everything else. The next day, I got a thank you note from him, handwritten thank you note from him, for allowing me to come into my house and give me this bid. And
Wow.
I've known him. He was a customer of mine.
Wow.
And he said, Jim, he said, you told me 8 years ago that I should stay in touch with the customer, and that's what he does. And you know, it's those little things. It's not huge things that have to happen, but little things that can make that customer experience that much more special, and ultimately can result anyway in your business becoming more valuable.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Keeping in touch with people. And I know there is, speaking of which, I know there's a service out there, send out cards or something like that, that reminds people to send out a message. You can have the name of your company on it. That's a great idea, Jim. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and like I say, anyway, the customer experience. There's only 4 reasons why people will buy something from you. It's either price, convenience, quality, or selection. That's it.
Yeah.
And if you and for small business owners, I always tell them it's always very difficult to kind of compete on a price level, but you can compete on a quality and a selection and a convenience level. Those are where you can make a mark, and again, help build your brand where you can become more successful.
You also work with marketers?
Yes, I do. I have a number of marketing companies that I deal with because one of the things that I found, and something that you mentioned earlier in the podcast, um, time is probably the most valuable thing that we all have,
Right.
and there's not enough of it.
No.
And what I find is that if I can find if a business has a marketing challenge, I'd rather talk about it, say, listen, let's explore this, and let's put together a request for proposal from a marketing company that can take this off your hands and ultimately help you become more known anyway in the community.
Oh, and that's another one of those must knows that people have to consider in their own business in order to go past the 5 years and be successful.
Absolutely. Delegation skills. You don't have to do everything yourself anyway, because again, you may feel more comfortable with doing it that way because ultimately you want it done right.
Right.
But if you're able to educate your employees as to your brand, how you want things done, and basically look over them and give them guidance and things like that, you can take some things off your plate and essentially allow you to grow your business rather than just to work in your business.
You make my mind race, because I thought of one last thing and there's always one last thing. Is there any way that a small business person could have a little questionnaire list of what their needs are, or for looking and searching for someone such as yourself, a business coach?
Absolutely. Anyway, there's any number of questions anyway that could be asked. For example, are you satisfied with your bottom line?
Oh, yeah, right there. Question number one.
Do you feel your business is successful? Ultimately, where do you want your business to be in 5 years?
That's the big question right there. Where do you want your business in 5 years?
And if you say, well, I'm not sure, I'm saying, well, I'm going to help you think about that, and we're going to put together a plan that will get you to where you want to be.
I love it. Super. Well, everyone's got the information on how they can get in touch with you. I love all the input you've given us and your time today. So thank you so much, Jim, for.
Kenny, I certainly appreciate your efforts, and I think you're doing a lot anyway for the business community with podcasts like this.
I love it. Thank you so much for that.
Okay, you have a great day.
All right, you too. Thanks. Bye.